This podcast has been brought to you by SeekersGuidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at SeekersGuidance.org/donate. For as little as $10 a month, you can help people find life-changing guidance.
So the question is, we're not supposed to change our physical features for the sake of vanity, such as shaping eyebrows, plastic surgery, hair extensions, etc. However, why are those things not allowed, whereas other actions such as haircuts, dyeing our hair, dieting, bodybuilding are permissible even if done with the same spirit of vanity as aforementioned? Does it have to do with taking natural means versus direct manipulation?
Okay, so when it comes to what types of adornment are permitted and what types of adornment aren't permitted, one thing to keep in mind is that rulings of the Sharia, rulings in the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are derived from specific texts, not just from general principles, right? So we don't say that, women cover because of modesty. No, that is the wisdom. The ruling is established on the basis of the particular commands relating to it, right? And ultimately, the underlying meaning of divine guidance is the affirmation of Allah's lordship and the affirmation of our ubudiyyah, of our slavehood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That is the underlying meaning. So and then from the commands of Allah we deduce wisdoms, principles, etc. But the command is established but the ruling is established by the particular set of commands. So in general, taking care of one's appearance is encouraged for both men and women, but with rightful balance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ, take your adornment. And we see, for example, that it is unbecoming for men or for women to pray in clothing that you would not wear in front of respectable people. The Prophet ﷺ said that if anyone of you has hair, they should honor it. And that applies to the hair on one's head, also beard hair, etc. Right? And that's why we trim our nails, etc. It is, one of the secondary wisdoms of wudu is to be both clean and pleasing in appearance. Right? Although the primary meaning, it's the key to prayer, etc. And that's why we have the sunnahs of applying perfume, etc. And tajammul, beautifying oneself where appropriate for one's spouse, etc., is praiseworthy both for women and for men. Right? So, but there's a balance. There's certain things that have been prohibited. One of the meanings, there's several sets of things. One of those is something that changes in a blemishing way or in a fundamental way the form that Allah has created the human being in, right? So, for example, that's why plastic surgery for adornment is considered excessiveness, right? And that's derived from many different texts. We have answers on Seekers explaining that. However, plastic surgery, when it is reconstructive, restorative, etc., there's multiple cases where it would be permissive. Someone was in a major accident, for example. Someone was born with a particular condition, and they want, that is a restorative types of plastic surgery. Tattoos are prohibited. Why? Because there's specific texts prohibiting tattoos, both for women and for men. Right? And then we can deduce a wisdom from it, because it blemishes the human form, and in a way that is permanent. And it also typically goes against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have honored the children of Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have created the human being in the best of forms. And the Prophet ﷺ forbade al-muthla, right? Anything that causes one to be unbecoming, right? That changes one's appearance in a fundamental manner. So how those general principles, what is permitted or not, that goes back to what is established either by direct prophetic command, such as the prohibition of tattoos, for example, such as the prohibition of certain types of hair extensions, and that which is established as being impermissible by analogy from those texts, right? So yes, earrings, for example, do change the human form, but we see that they don't change it in a way that's considered blemishing, number one, but more fundamentally, there are specific texts that permit it. Okay? So the ulama looked at, for example, nose rings, and they said, given custom, etc., nose rings are permissible. Right? But then there's other types of rings. People put rings on their tongue or their lip, or people put them on their private parts, or all kinds of bizarre places, and that's considered from. And there's some of these things that would be discussion of. Generally, those are at the very least discouraged, if not impermissible, because there's several prohibiting meanings that come there. And adab, when it comes to things like this, is that as believers we are guided not just by general principles, right, but we are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself in the Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of remembrance if you don't know. So even when we learn general principles, general rulings, the application of primary texts of the Quran and the Sunnah to a specific situation, or general rulings to a specific situation, this is fatwa. This is to give an expert religious verdict. And for that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of remembrance if you know not. So in specific cases, don't just assume that it's permissible or it's not permissible. When you don't know the ruling clearly and specifically, know whom to ask and ask about those specifics. And that'll make your life easier and enable you to follow guidance with greater confidence.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seekers Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit SeekersGuidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit SeekersGuidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.